Hi, it's Stephen again. Here's Net Promoter Score fail number 18 out of 30. This one's titled Ridiculousness. Often when you come across management techniques, or you read a book, or you go to a course, you hear all the highfalutin fancy stuff, which is all well and good. However, at the end of the day, sorry, I said end of the day, often companies just do ridiculous things. Organizations do, companies of all sorts do, and human beings do. Ridiculousness is just stupid things that you just, if you applied some common sense, you wouldn't do. Now, someone once said to me that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Just because you can collect a Net Promoter Score and do it cheaply and do it everywhere doesn't mean you should. Now, I've got a few examples here on a piece of paper that I'm just going to read out to you that I've come across myself, and I know a lot of other people that I've dealt with and my clients have seen in their own lives. Now, they're just ridiculous. So, for example, the first one is you go to the bathroom at Sydney International Airport, and as you wash your hands, then dry your hands, on the wall right next to the dryer is a QR code that asks you to take a photo with your phone and complete a survey. It's crazy. It's in a place where you actually might have fear of getting arrested for taking a photo in a bathroom. And it's in an environment that isn't really conducive to doing something like a Net Promoter Score style survey. Now, you might want to survey someone later in the airport about the facilities, but probably not while they're in the bathroom. Ridiculous. Another one about airports is customs. I've had this happen to me personally twice, where you go up to the customs officer and there's an iPad sitting there asking you to complete a survey. It's a crazy time to do it, and it's one where you actually wouldn't want to give the right results. A, there's not much that can go on in that interaction, but B, you're kind of a bit like, oh gee, if I give them a 0, will I cop a whole lot of questions? You don't want to do that. So again, ridiculous. How about at a reception desk at a large corporate office? So you go into the big marble atrium style reception area and you ask to see whoever you need to see, and there again you see this iPad with, based on your experience today, would you recommend to your friends and family? It's a ridiculous place to have it. You're just going to reception, for God's sake. It doesn't need a survey. Also, it's funny when you have a piece of paper, you say, when you finish an interaction is a normal time to ask a question, but often when you go to websites, they'll pop up these surveys, which are not always Net Promoter Score, but often are, but surveys asking you about what you thought of the website, or would you use this again, or whatever. They're asking you before the interaction has completed. Ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. Or how about when you call a call center for a complaint, you go to the complaint hotline, and at the end of the call, they ask you whether you would recommend to friends or family based on the experience today. They're like, well, what are you talking about? Perhaps ask a question to ask whether the complaint was resolved or how many people you had to speak to or whatever, but don't ask a Net Promoter Score on a complaint hotline. Makes no sense. It's ridiculous. Just one or two others. Restaurants. Free restaurant dinner you win, and you go to enjoy your meal. It's not a restaurant you'd normally go to, can afford to, or whatever, and you're confronted with the Net Promoter Score question. Now, this comes to one of the future fails about Net Promoter Score, which is economic bias. But you didn't buy the thing, you wouldn't normally go there, and yet you're being asked to evaluate whether you'd recommend to your friends and family. Well, you wouldn't normally recommend because you wouldn't normally go there. So again, crazy. So just because you can do more of this, you can collect more results, and you can do it easily, doesn't make it better. So again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Avoid the ridiculousness of just dumb decisions.